Welcome to Ireland Daily News. Today is the 17th of June 2026. Story 1. The Environmental Protection Agency has released its annual data. In 2025, there were no major improvements to water quality in Ireland. Standards in many areas remain unsatisfactory. Excess nutrients from agriculture and wastewater are the biggest challenges. Phosphorus and nitrate levels remain higher than recommended. Just over half of water bodies are in good or better biological quality. 43% of rivers have nitrate concentrations that are too high. The problem is particularly pronounced in the east and southeast. Over 30% of lakes have phosphorus concentrations that are too high. This issue is especially apparent in the border region. While the national picture shows no improvement, there are localized success stories. In the Ballatigue-Bannow catchment in County Wexford, 6 of the 16 rivers surveyed in 2025 improved in biological quality. EPA expert Dr. Jenny Deacon said it is important to determine the specific changes there. This information can be used to inform actions in other areas. The EPA has called for targeted actions. Actions must match the scale of the problem. Story 2. Minister for Housing James Browne brought the short-term letting bill to Cabinet on Tuesday. The bill will establish a register for holiday rentals to be operated by Failt Ireland. The aim is to force more holiday lets into the private rental market. The law will restrict short-term lettings in towns with populations of more than 20,000. Those renting out properties in towns with populations of more than 20,000 must comply by December. Those in areas with populations of under 20,000 will have a 2-year grace period. Operators who have rented properties for 7 years without enforcement action can seek retention. The government will provide a simplified administrative process for this. Minister Browne said that enforcement has been extremely difficult previously. He said the new laws will make it much easier to crack down on illegal operations. He described the current situation of operating outside the law as completely unacceptable. The government expects platforms like Airbnb to comply with the law. Authorities will take robust action against platforms facilitating illegal activity. Story 3. Minister of State for Housing John Cummins says legislation will be passed. Legislation allowing homeowners to build 45 square metre modular units will pass. It will be passed before the Dáil summer recess. Currently, planning exemptions only allow a 40 square metre extension attached to their house. New rules will allow 45 square metre detached structures at the bottom of a garden. The legislation also covers attic conversions and splitting houses. Cummins says the goal is to remove red tape. It aims to provide more housing options for people. He expects the bill to reach the Oireachtas Housing Committee in the first week of July. The proposal has been received well by the public. Story 4. The Climate Change Advisory Council has warned that Ireland's transport relies on fossil fuels. This leaves the country vulnerable to fuel price shocks. The Council made recommendations in its 2026 annual review. Investment in public transport and charging infrastructure should be accelerated. The Council believes temporary responses are not sufficiently targeted. Support should be provided to the most vulnerable groups. The Council welcomes the government's electric vehicle scrappage scheme. However, electric vehicle uptake among low-income households must be increased. Journeys across the Transport for Ireland network grew by 6% last year. Local link journeys increased by 19%. However, total public transport journeys remained largely unchanged. This indicates some services are near full capacity. Projects like DART Plus South West should be accelerated. CCAC chairperson Alex White said fossil fuel shocks are not one-off events. Reliable alternatives must be provided. The transition must be fair. Support should target low-income and car-dependent groups. Story 5. Social Democrats Deputy Leader Cian O'Callaghan told the Dáil that breaches of public consultant contracts are occurring nationwide. He stated that there is an emerging pattern of contract breaches extending beyond the Rotunda Hospital. This issue is not limited to the Rotunda Hospital. A March 2026 HSE internal audit found inadequate oversight of the phased elimination of private work in public hospitals. The audit also highlighted poor management of consultant rostering for weekend and evening public care. Party health spokesperson Padraig Rice noted that similar practices are occurring at Cork University Maternity Hospital. At University Hospital Galway, consultants on public-only contracts are being asked to perform lab work for private patients. This is causing significant delays in processing samples for public patients. These delays affect public patients, including those with cancer. The Taoiseach stated that the government will not tolerate any variations to signed contracts. He added that Minister for Health Jennifer Carroll McNeill is taking a strong stance on this issue. The Taoiseach confirmed that the government is actively addressing these concerns. Story 6. The Court of Appeal has granted the Irish Times access to character references. These references were submitted for Daniel Ramamuti. They include a reference from former TD Jim Glennon. Ramamuti was a former government advisor. He was jailed for 2 years and 4 months for sexually exploiting a 13-year-old boy. The offence occurred at a Christian children's camp. Mr. Justice John Edwards presided over the hearing. He stated that open justice is in the public interest. This outweighs the privacy expectations of those providing the references. Ramamuti also pleaded guilty to possessing child sexual abuse material. The court previously rejected his appeal. The judge noted he lacked remorse. And there were red flags regarding an abnormal sexual interest in children. Former Taoiseach Michael Martin said TDS should not provide such references. That's all for today's Ireland news. Thanks for watching, and see you tomorrow.